Behind the beautiful Florida facade lies a ticking time bomb. From skyrocketing condo fees, legislative pressure, and unbelievable insurance rates, Florida housing market is basically on the brink of collapse, specifically condos. Is there anything that can be done about it? Today I'm going to dive in the crisis, see how it impacts housing markets from Miami to Fort Myers, and see if there's any solutions to prevent Florida's housing market from being doomed. Now, what if you've got that Brickell condo or downtown Orlando condo, which afforded you all those great urban amenities, right? Walking, biking, public transport. You're thinking, man, do I sell now? Or conversely, maybe you want to buy in the dip, right? You want to weigh your benefits and risk and buy the dip. Well, what I want you to do is, after the video is done, towards the end of the video, I've got a quick questionnaire that I would like you to fill out. It will connect you with a realtor in the city of your choice. I have a vast network of agent partners that can answer those questions specifically for you. Florida's urban areas like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and even Tampa are seeing insurance premiums skyrocket up to 300%. For these high density areas, this is just unbelievable, right? The whole point, condo owners specifically, of buying those condos is low maintenance, low cost, right? With the emphasis on cost, lifestyle. And that is just making things just not affordable. So couple that, of course, with those skyrocketing costs. Another reason is the supply and demand, right? So you got a combination of hurricane risk and supply and demand. That's why these insurance premiums are going through the roof, right? You've got major insurers like Allstate and State Farm getting out of the game because of that first reason, hurricane risk. They just don't want to deal with it. So what happens, right? Just like in the housing market, you have a limited supply, demand is still there, and it skyrockets with people scrambling for premiums providers. Both of those are out, costs increase. And so this is why this insurance crisis is number one. So what can be done solution-wise with the insurance crisis? So what you can kind of consider, folks, is maybe looking a little bit more inland, right? Orlando, Jacksonville, where you can still get that the urban amenities 2 and 3, biking and walking. You're going to have to sacrifice on public transit, right? Because as Florida's kind of set up, and in subsequent videos, I'll be talking more at a city level. A lot of the public transit, particularly the rail, is in the kind of city proper, not on the outskirts, right? Not too many commuter lines. So you can still get the biking and walking. You have to sacrifice the public transit. If you insist on that high density areas, of course, get a detailed insurance estimate. Of course, all major loan servicers require the insurance. If you're paying cash, maybe you can go ahead and risk it if you have the significant monies when it happens, right? Climate change is real. Or another major hurricane comes, you can weather the storm, pun intended, I guess. But however, you may have to just get that detailed insurance estimate. And if you, of course, still have questions, right? As I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, I'm going to have that questionnaire, right? Where if you got questions on the insurance premiums, of course, we're talking to an insurance agent, I'll connect you with the realtor who really knows your area and can answer your questions and say if it's a go, no go, if you still want to live in that urban density area. If I've been serving that almighty YouTube algorithm god properly, algorithms, you, the viewer, is looking for a relocation, specifically an urban relocation. Therefore, you're really going to need a trusted advocate. You probably know what creature comforts you want, but you need that trusted advocate to find you the right place, neighborhood, and city. So what I have here is the agent referral questionnaire. It's very simple. Answer a couple of quick questions, and let's schedule a time and date convenient for you to have a very quick discussion to kind of see where your wants and needs are. And then through my extensive network of referral partners through just about every place in our wonderful land of liberty, I can find you that realtor. It all starts, however, with that conversation. So I'm going to have it also linked below on the video that you're watching, and I can't wait to help you find a great agent so you can have a perfect urban relocation. The days of the low maintenance, low cost condos in Florida just might be over, right? That was kind of one of the reasons why you bought there, having that low maintenance, not really thinking about the actual maintenance needed. You would just kind of just kick the can down the road. And many owners did that. Not only owners, the actual boards did that. So some recent legislation, any of the older buildings are now require, which actually here in Chicago, I do a lot of condo business. Many buildings already require minimum reserve requirements, right? To kind of prevent a massive sticker shock in the future. Of course, they just kick the can. And so right now, the current owners are really feeling the pinch. I mean, there's some examples. The Miami Beach had an example, anywhere ranging from $50,000 to $200,000 per condo owner. So how do you get around that? You got to understand these were older buildings, folks, 70s and 80s built. So you really want to do your due diligence and look for newer condos. And you can look at older condos, of course, because cost considerations, but you got to really dive into the bylaws. You got to dive into the declarations. It's a lot of stuff that a lot of other major cities like my Chicago already do, and I advise my condo clients. So with your realtor there in that particular Florida city, dive into the actual budget to make sure there's enough money, because there's always going to be issue. Even with newer buildings, you may have a roof issue, you may have exterior issue, tuck point, etc. So make sure that's all in order. And if it's all in order, even for older buildings, you can get it insured, move forward, right? Not a problem at all. But that is what's really hurting, and that's now mandatory. The governor there, DeSantis, had that legislation. So it's even beyond sticker shock. I mean, it's so bad that unfortunately a lot of people are going to have to sell. They're going to have to sell because they just simply can't afford. So that's kind of that impact from the condo perspective, from the housing perspective. As climate change raises sea levels, this is really impacting those coastal cities, right? And so as a result, home values are being affected. So those trendy areas like Miami Beach and in Tampa and downtown St. Pete are getting to the point, we're not there yet, folks, but getting to the point, right, where that diminishing home values is just not making sense for homeowners to hold on to their property. So why should you really care, right? So of course, if home values are decreasing due to, of course, the insurers not covering the premiums based on climate change, values drop. Well, what else drops? Property taxes drop. And however you feel about property taxes, heck, no one likes them, right? They do fund projects, and specific projects like urban projects, public transport, while you're watching this, right? Urban relocation. You move into these areas to enjoy those amenities, and even walking paths, right? How do you fund that? It's construction workers, and that's all funded through tax dollars, with lowering home values of the assessor then has to assess the property lower. Therefore, the property taxes go down. There's not enough revenue, So it does impact you, even if you're not a current homeowner. So what can you do about climate change and the kind of relationship between climate change and home values? There's not really, of course, much you can do about climate change, but you may have, if you're a Florida homeowner, you may just have that short-term pain, right? There's going to be some exorbitant costs to basically get the building in order, and of course take any FEMA recommendations as far as fortifying if you're in a high rise, right? Or you may consider selling, but at least through my questionnaire, as I mentioned earlier, right, talk with a professional realtor that knows the area. I'll connect you with someone. I'm happy to do so. If you're a buyer now, it could be an opportunity where you buy at the dip. You have to evaluate the risks. You can look at FEMA maps, right, to kind of avoid the flood zones. Look at areas like Jacksonville, I mentioned earlier, or Orlando, more inland properties. Outside of, if you're thinking of a city like Miami, Tampa, outside of next to the sea, go more inland in those cities. Those are some options for you. So probably more advantageous if you are a buyer versus a seller. But you do have a couple of options. Chicago is riddled with crime and deep dish pizza.
We'll eat some Chicago deep dish pizza.
Okay, folks, only one of those things is actually true. Point being is Chicago should be on your urban relocation list. Unfortunately, a lot of folks are really underrating Chicago. And hey, listen, I might be biased, by the way. I am a City of Chicago Realtor, if you didn't know, with over 12 years experience of neighborhoods, which equal over 100, and there's 77 communities. So put Chicago on your bucket list. And if you want more information, very similar to my referral questionnaire, answer a couple of simple questions and fill out a time and date convenient for you for us to have a discussion. Now listen, you may not even know when you're going to have that relocation, but it has to always start with that conversation. So make that conversation, and I look forward to assisting you, hopefully, in an urban relocation to the wonderful city of Chicago.